We've talked a lot about just some varying practical tips for the everyday homeschooling lifestyle. What we're going to cover in this video is planning ahead. Not all of us are really good planners. So for those who are gifted in this area, this may be a little easier, but for those who are not, some of these tips may be a little bit more helpful. But even though you may excel at planning, you may find that some of these things are really helpful just to kind of simplify your daily routine. A lot of these ideas are just things that help out with WinterPromise curriculum or any other curriculum. One thing is that if you need to print materials ahead, do that at the beginning of the year. You may not be able to afford getting all the printed stuff done at the beginning of the year, but you may be able to get the first half of the year, first 9 weeks, and that at least will simplify your schedule from every week having to print out this child's consumable resource or making sure this child has their schedule for the week. Just getting all that stuff laid out and done ahead, and of course assembling some of this material ahead would be a really useful idea and might kind of simplify. And yeah, it may take you 2 days to get it all set, but hey, you will have less stress. The other thing is, if you have any narration questions, our curriculum, we provide narration questions for the history and for our language arts as well. I would recommend getting those printed ahead and putting those in a place where it's easy for you to reference and for your student to be able to find it, as if for their language arts. Just makes it a lot easier. Plus, then you have it in one place. You can even put it in your binder with your guide, or even put it in your weekly, week 1, week 2, week notes, and you'll be like, hey, I never have to flip through the guide to make sure I have it, or pull it out because you want to use it, but it's not in a good location. So making copies of those may be helpful as well. We briefly touched on, your teacher binder. Organize it. Make it so it makes sense to you. If that includes, just the 36 weeks in a binder or 36 weeks in a clear, file thing that you're then able to hand out to your students, be like, okay, this is yours, something like that. Create a system that works for you. You've probably tried a couple, or even find a planner. There's a lot of homeschooling planners out there that you might be able to use that really will simplify just the organization for your studies. And again, other thing is gather all you need for your school. If that's books, you'll want to make sure that any extra fun books, gather those ahead. If they're ones that you don't want to purchase but are at your local library, reserve them ahead or keep a list so that you know that when to get those and get them on time. Another thing is any craft projects. Making sure your craft cupboard is full with glue and paper and scissors is always a good thing to make sure that's prepared every year. Organize your schoolroom. If you have a specific room in the house where you do school, get it prepared so that you won't have to worry about where's my stuff, or well, we had it here last year but we moved everything around. Get that prepared so that you will be ready for the first day of school. Another thing is to decide how you're going to do grading and gather the tools that you're going to use for grading. We offer some suggestions in our resources for grading, so that's something you can take up. There might also be some other things online, some other tools that will help you in grading, but you want to decide ahead of time how you will grade and what pages from the resources that they've completed will you hand in to the state. You'll want to keep that organized so that for those families who live in states who require some actual work to submit, that you have those and aren't scrambling later on to find those or discover that you don't have anything to show. Another idea is for younger students, that if you have some younger students who are coming along or who aren't in school but are you're trying to homeschool the older ones but you don't know what to do with younger ones, I would prepare some things for them to do while the rest of their siblings are schooling. That could be coloring pages, preschool, or workbooks or activity books. Set them aside, have them a certain place in your classroom ready so that if their attention spans, with you reading aloud aren't up to what the other ones are, that's perfectly fine and understandable. But some of these activity books and coloring books might really help at least make it easier for you as a mom to have them kind of come along without having to make sure they're not getting into any trouble or wandering off. But those are just some ideas about planning ahead. That really helps out a lot. Another suggestion is reserving, like we've mentioned, books or anything from the library, but DVDs. Our curriculum, we recommend a lot of documentaries each week, and they're a great enrichment to your study, and you don't have to plan really except to make sure that you reserve the DVDs ahead. I definitely recommend that, and so many of them you can get from the library. So I definitely recommend doing that, and it, of course, would bring along the younger ones as well. Another thing that I want to touch on is chores. Now, you as a mom probably have more chores than you would like, but getting the family involved with family chores might help you out a bit. So even if it's small things that some of the younger ones, all they do is wipe off the counter in the bathroom, get them involved, get them learning that to help keep the house clean would be really would be a way that you can bring everyone together and make your job a little easier and help you to be able to divide your attention a little bit better. Another thing that we mentioned, especially in our blog, is about mobile learning. And this is something that's very new. Mobile learning can be anything from their tablet and educational games on their tablet while they're in the car or at the doctor's office, or it's flashcards or games that they play in the car that help reinforce what they're learned in either their language, arts, or history. So that could be like dates or going back and trying to spell who can spell more words, anything like that, or just reading time. I would definitely look into ways that maybe you could make those errand trips you have to make every day as a mom into a way that you can get some of the independent work or even just the fun memorization work done in the car or even at the store or in the doctor's office, and plus keep them a little more occupied as well. But those are just a couple ideas. In our next video we will be talking about some meal planning.